Hi, I'm Alex. This is the Komby combination laminator and ravioli unit. I'm going to show you how to get the machine started and a couple of tricks and tips on getting everything set up. First, we're going to go over the basic function of the machine, starting and stopping it. These first green and red buttons will start and stop the hopper. This is where you're going to do most of your primary mixing. The lamination unit is the next set of green and red buttons, and that's the set of lamination rollers that's going to prep your roll that you'll then transfer onto the ravioli unit and either make cut or raviolis with. The Komby ships without a plug, so make sure to contact your local electrician and have them install a plug that's appropriate for your building. I'm going to go over the controls of the Komby. The upper buttons, they control the mixing hopper, and the lower buttons, they control the lamination unit. The green button is to start and stop the mixer. Same on the lamination. Green to start, stop, and red to stop. Never put your hands or anything inside the mixing hopper while it's running. Always make sure to stop the lamination unit before opening the cover. On the very bottom is the emergency stop. Once this button gets depressed, it will require you to rotate the button in order to release it. So just make sure that you can see the green ring, and then you'll know that the machine's ready to start again. So for startup, first we're going to install the mixing paddle, and I'll show you what the various tools that come with the machine are used for. This is the mixing paddle, and here's the locking bolt. So once I insert this from the top, and I'm going to insert this bolt here, and this tool here that comes with the machine, that's for tightening this bolt. Alternatively, if you break or damage this tool, you can also use a 19mm wrench, and it'll do the same job. Once we have the mixing paddle installed, the machine's in the off position, we can go ahead and open the gate on the top, and we're going to make sure that this wheel is turned all the way counterclockwise, and that's going to ensure that the chute is closed on the bottom of the mixing hopper. We're going to add our dry ingredients. We can go ahead and close the mixing hopper lid, and we're going to press the green button to get it started, and we'll start to add our wet ingredients, water or eggs or a combination of both, and get that process started. Once we're done mixing and our ingredients are ready to be laminated, we can go ahead and open this chute up by turning it clockwise until it stops. We're going to go ahead and hit the both green buttons to start the lamination and the mixer, and let the magic happen. This micro switch that's mounted on the conveyor belt, this is to automatically stop the lamination unit when the roll gets to the appropriate thickness. So you can adjust it here by loosening this knob and then raising or lowering it to the appropriate position. I recommend that you always use it. It'll prevent the rolls from falling onto the floor. I recommend storing all the accessories, tools, and various components of the Komby either on its own like Rubbermaid cart, or you can just use a tray as of such. Definitely refrain from like leaving things, different places in the machine. They're going to fall inside. It's going to cause problems and definitely things you don't want. So let's go over cleaning the machine and doing the breakdown. I'm going to start by removing the mixing paddle. And we're going to do that with the included tool. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this bolt and remove it. Open the mixing hopper and remove the mixing paddle. Now it can get kind of stuck inside different, dough and whatever else is holding it in. But I recommend cleaning the bowl with a pizza scraper, just to break up all of the different components that might be stuck in the corners and crevices. And you can use a small flathead screwdriver or a pick to break up whatever other pieces are remaining. The easiest way to get all of that debris out is either with an air compressor to blow it out or with a vacuum cleaner to just suck it out. Next, we're going to remove the chute. And in order to do that, we're going to lift this pin and pull this out. And then this can either go in the dishwasher or you can wash it by hand, whichever is more convenient. Cleaning the lamination unit is done through these front cavities here. And so we're going to pull the door open, and whatever small pieces of pasta or dough are left in here, we can pull those out or suck them out with a vacuum cleaner. Or if you have compressed air, you can blow them out. And what you'll be left with is stuff in the corners. And you can clean that out by gently scraping either with a pick or a screwdriver, closing the lamination unit on both sides, and then running it briefly. And that'll give a few rotations on the rollers and will allow you to clean up the rest of the debris. Figure you probably want to do about 15 to 20 rotations, full rotations of the machine, to make sure that you got everything out. The more time you spend cleaning it, the faster you're going to start up on the following batch. And the front cover, there's also a matching one in the rear. Make sure that you gain access to both when you're cleaning. Also on the bottom here, there's a set of scrapers, so make sure that nothing is caught or stuck on those. And again, you can use either compressed air from the bottom or also a vacuum cleaner. Safety is paramount with the Komby. Don't stick anything, your hands or tools or other devices inside the rollers or near the filling canisters. You just, be safe and don't do anything silly. So we're going to start with the filling canister itself. You want to prepare the stuffing beforehand. Ideally, you'd like to keep it refrigerated. It should be right around the consistency of like soft cream cheese. You've got 2 filling canisters, so if you plan on making a lot of ravioli, go ahead and prepare both, and you can set those aside, keep them refrigerated, and then pull them out as needed. Once you prepare the first roll of pasta, I recommend that you get that set up here in the back. Go ahead and wrap that roll with cellophane or stretch film, and that'll protect the edges and keep the pasta from drying out while the machine's preparing another roll. So then over here in the front, we're gonna go ahead and get the other roll set up, and here we've got the thickness adjustment, and that sets the front calibration rollers. For making ravioli with most molds, you're gonna be somewhere between 6 and 7. You definitely won't ever go thicker than that. Each ravioli mold has a unique filling dispenser, so make sure that you keep them paired up. You can number them if you have multiple molds. Once we have our 2 rolls set up, next step is to get the ravioli mold installed and inserted. There's a guide that the mold will slide along, and it should fit all the way back and remain flush with the machine. If it's not going all the way back, it's because it's not lined up properly. The easiest way to resolve that is by lifting this door and reaching underneath and gently rotating the mold back and forth until it goes completely inside. And once that's set up, you're in place. The next step is to begin feeding the rolls into the calibration rollers. Again, a good starting point for the thickness is going to be number 6 or 7. Maybe lower or higher depending on the mold or the shape desired, but that's a good starting point. Never insert your fingers near the rollers. You always want to hold the edge of the sheet of pasta and feed that forward through these guides here. So to get that started, we're going to shut this door, run the machine, and feed each sheet. Just get the sheet started and stop and then you'll check through here in the center and you'll see that the pasta is actually falling directly on the mold and it's going through properly. If it's not, You can tear it off or clear whatever the blockage is and then get started again. Once you're confident that the two sheets are feeding together and through the mold, you can insert the filling canister and the dispenser. And so that's going to go here. It gets pressed inside. Shut the door, and you can use this lever to move this the piston. What the piston does is it actually pushes the stuffing into the ravioli mold. So you can push it down pretty much until it makes contact with the product, and then turn it into the straight position here. And if need, you can manually pump the filling in to get everything loaded and ready to start. So you kind of want to get started right away. You don't want to let it sit too long. The pasta starts to dry out. The filling will start to become inconsistent. So ideally, you just want to keep the machine running once you get started. Once everything's set up, you can go ahead and hit the green button down here, and that will start the ravioli unit, and it will start speeding. Up here on the top left is where you're going to adjust the amount of filling that gets applied. Right here we've got it at 1.5. That's a good starting point for a medium-sized mold. If you've got a much larger mold, obviously you're going to need much more filling. It's easier to start in the lower numbers and increment them up slowly, because if you start with too much, you'll kind of make a mess of the mold. It'll take you a long time to clean up and get started again. So the ravioli unit on the Komby is also designed to make all sorts of cut shapes or lasagna sheets, any cut or length of pasta. And so in order to do that, we're going to load the front calibration roller with a roll of dough. And that allows us to actually set the thickness of whatever tagliatelle or fettuccine lasagna sheet we're going to make. Now once we've got that calibration set, we're going to go ahead and prepare the Komby for cut pasta. In order to do that, we're going to open the door so you can see it easier. We need to push the cutting motor forward, and you can see how it takes up space inside where the ravioli mold would go. On the back side, you can see that the motor needs to be pushed all the way forward in order for it to operate, and there's a locking key that needs to be engaged in order for the cutting motor to work. So make sure that the motor is completely engaged. Next, we're going to insert a lasagna sheet cassette, which is basically just a blank. And that's going to get inserted the same way that the ravioli mold goes. The handle should be completely flush with the door so that it's completely inserted. And alternatively, we could put in a cutting cassette, which would get inserted almost the same way. Just as so, facing up. And that needs to also be flush, at which point we can close the door and start feeding the dough through. Once we've prepared our roll for cut pasta, we're going to go ahead and get that set up here. And we want to make sure that the ravioli piston remains disengaged the entire time we're cutting pasta. So this is going to stay locked at a 90-degree angle, just as so. With our roll installed and our calibration set on the thickness, we can go ahead and start feeding the pasta through to the calibration rollers. Never attempt to adjust the calibration with pasta inside the rollers. Always tear it off and make your adjustment, and then reinsert the sheet. With our cuts and our automatic cutter already set up, before we start the machine, we want to make sure that this cover on the bottom of the automatic cutter is pulled forward. If not, you'll have a tough time getting anything out. We're going to describe the controls of the ravioli unit and cutting unit. To start and stop the machine is very similar as the lamination. The green button starts and the red button stops. A white light indicates that there is power to the unit, and a yellow light indicates a fault. A fault can be caused from motor overheating or from a building electrical issue. The emergency stop or slam switch, which is the same on the other side of the machine, it gets depressed as so. It will remain disengaged until you rotate to the right and then allow the machine to operate again. The automatic timer is set up to cut the the sheet or tagliatelle into lengths, and that can be done by starting the machine and go ahead and toggle this switch in the up position, which will trigger it to run. If we want to make adjustments to the actual time, we can do that by use the 1, 2, 3, and 4 digits. The way that it works is each digit moves the corresponding position. So in this instance, currently it's set to cut at every 2 seconds. If you want to change that to 3 seconds, or 4 or 5, or etc., we would increment the third digit. So 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, and then it goes back to 0. So let's go ahead and leave it at 2 seconds, and we'll go ahead and start the timer. And you'll see that it counts down and then makes cuts every 2 seconds. If we want to change that time, we can easily either add a digit, making it 12 seconds, which would be a very long cut, probably for a sheet pan or something of that sort. And if we wanted to make much tighter cuts, we can do that as well. We would just simply change the time. So we're going to change the 4th digit back to 0. And then we're going to change the 2nd digit to say like 3 seconds or so. When you're finished making your cuts or sheets and you want to go back to making ravioli, you need to remove the cutter and pull it back out of the way. And in order to do that, that same slide needs to get pushed back into the closed position, and that will allow the cutting motor to be pulled back, as so. Freeing the area and allowing a mold to be installed. Safety is paramount. As always with any industrial machine, make sure whenever you're cleaning the ravioli unit, doing any minor servicing or installing or removing molds, that the machine is completely turned off. The power's been disconnected, and there's no risk of injury. Never insert tools or scrapers or your fingers or anything into the calibration rollers, or any openings in the machine. Just pay attention and be as safe as possible. If you have any questions, feel free to reference the manual, or if there's any complications, you're always welcome to reach out. Our technical support team is available here to help you.